I look forward to this conversation. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Right on. So we'll kind of start your transition from leaving kind of high school and stuff like that, and what that transition period looked like for you, and then we can kind of bring it to where we are now, and then go back through it if you want.
Yeah, for sure. So grade 10 is kind of like that year I find most people in high school have to get like a summer job or they have to start working. So that was kind of like where everything really changed for me for business wise. I was going to Sudbury Secondary in the arts program. And I was doing media stuff, but that summer my mom was like, hey, time to get a job. And I was like, I don't really want to get a job, but I just wanted to be a lazy high school student. But they had this thing called the Summer Company Program.
Interesting.
And it was like a startup for youth who were 16 to 29.
Okay.
And it was done through the Regional Business Center downtown here in Sudbury. And basically you got $3,000 for the summer. You could start your own business. There's a bunch of mentorship, leadership courses, that kind of stuff. And they took you through the whole thing, like how to start it, how to build a website.
Oh, no
how
kidding.
to order like business cards, like just down to the little stuff. So there was me, there was 5 others, and we all applied and we all got in, and that's how I started my sound company, which is Shake It Up Media, and that was like my first like business, first sound company, and then did that throughout like grade 10 summer, 11, 12. And then when I transitioned into university, I was like, I should probably get a real job now. So I got a job part-time at the bank, worked there, still doing the sound and lighting stuff, and then using the sound and lighting stuff to help pay through school, which was amazing. And then from there, just started going to Laurentian and worked on starting some other businesses.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's how I got started, was the Summer Company Program. They still run it today, which is sick.
Oh, wow,
I go back and speak sometimes. I'm still in touch with the other 6 that we did the first program with back in, like, it was like would have been 2016, so almost 10 years ago.
Jeez, man, time flies, eh?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's cool. But it's interesting, though, to me that's like kind of the path that was not so much kind of laid out, but just like, oh, I kind of don't want to do that. Let's try this, and then it seemed to work itself out.
Yeah, which was kind of cool, right? Because I was like, when I was in school, I was like, hey, what am I going to take in university? What is my career going to be? And then I had this opportunity, and I was like, hey, I love doing sound and lighting stuff, and I can make money of it now. Like, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I was like, I was like, the government's going to give me $3,000 to get started. I was like, done.
So is it how is it funded?
So it's funded through the Ontario provincial government.
Okay.
And then they basically disperse it into different regions. So the Sudbury Regional Business Center is the one that like puts it on here. There's a few other local entrepreneurs who have like come up in it like recently as well. But it's really cool. Like the Peach Pit. I don't know if you've seen that food truck.
Yeah.
She started through.
No kidding.
There as well.
Oh yeah.
As well as that new clothing company, Solstice Supply.
Oh yes.
She also went through that program.
Oh, no
so
kidding.
it's
That's
super cool to see like all
yeah.
these other like entrepreneurs who are like a little bit younger than me come up through that program as well.
Oh, sick.
So it's a really cool program, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't even know it exists. So
yeah, no kidding.
I'm gonna plug it in here today.
Yeah,
too.
dude, that's awesome. No, that's super cool. I love that you're doing that. So you managed to fund what percentage, would you say, or even all of your university studies through what you made with the business?
I would say,
like,
probably about like 60 to 70% was able to be paid through like doing sound events and then getting involved on campus and like trying to like do the events there and like do stuff with the SGA, just to make extra cash on the side. But it was great because I could do that during the year, and then in the summer I could work full time at the bank.
Right on. Okay. In that timeline, you kind of mentioned about how you're like, and I started a few like side stuff here and there, right, just to kind of, I guess, see what you could do or what you could make into something, or
I was kind of curious. I was like, I did this with the sound company. I love it. Like, it's a good passion, but I never like, I was in university. I was like, I don't want to do this like the rest of my life. Like, it's a lot of like late nights on the weekends and like lugging equipment everywhere.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So I was like, like, what's something else that we could do that's maybe like more full-time? And we were getting to the point too, I had a couple buddies and we were doing so many events, and we were running out of space for all the equipment that we had. So we were like, why don't we, this is actually how the second business got started. We're like, why don't we find a business that we can run to get a space, because leasing is so expensive. So we're like, why don't we find a business we can open, run in the front, and then use the back as like almost like a warehouse space or something to keep all our equipment in.
Oh, easy.
And that's where like the cafe idea came from. So we opened Cafe One, which was a board game cafe. And we ended up opening that on LaSalle.
That's a while ago.
That was a while ago, yeah. That was in like third year uni that we did that.
No kidding.
And then with that, it was like it ended up being so much work that when I was going back to school in the fall, I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I gotta sell my portion. I opened it with a good friend of mine. Yeah. His name is Brody, and ended up selling him my shares because we did it 50-50. Right on. And because I was like, I gotta go back to school. Like, I can't be like running this full time, and it seemed to be too much. But it was a good learning opportunity for sure, because it was like. It was like the first like brick and mortar place that I rented. It was like the first like, okay, we're open like almost like, you know, we're open like 7 days a week, like early mornings, like 6 a.m. to like midnight, you know. So it was a lot of like an inventory. Like it was a whole new kind of world of business for me, because I was like used to just like showing up, setting up some speakers, lights, running the show, collecting payment, going home. This was like we had staff, we had scheduling, we had inventory, we had payroll, we had the lease. Like, you know, it was a lot of moving parts. So. It was a really good learning experience, but it was definitely too much while I was still in school.
Fair enough. Yeah, but you don't drink coffee.
No, I know, which is funny,
dude. That's why I was like, I don't know.
Which is really funny, yeah. No, I love board games. That was my aspect.
Oh, okay.
I
was like, he has the he likes the coffee espresso part.
But I do like. I'm a big fan of chai, like chai lattes. Yeah, but I'm not a big coffee guy. Yeah, which is funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Is that just?
I don't know, man. I just never got into it. Like some people say it's genetic, but like both my parents love coffee, so I'm like, I don't think it's genetic. Can't be right. I was like, but yeah, no, I never like got into it or got into the taste or anything. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. It is weird for sure.
Right on. Yeah, so kind of looking past that time, when did you graduate? What year?
I graduated in, so I was set to graduate in 2020.
Right.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I wanted to take a couple extra entrepreneurship classes that the university offered. Yeah. So I said, you know what? Like, everyone's doing nothing anyway. So I stayed an extra year and graduated in 21.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And then that year it was fun because I only had 2 classes because I didn't need to take any more. So I took the 2 classes I wanted to take, and then I ran and got elected for VPSL of the SGA that year as well.
Sick.
Yeah, so it was lots of fun. We didn't get to do too much because everything got shut down, but no, it was a cool experience. Got to learn a lot again, and just kind of like have like a chill last year. But yeah, I graduated in 21.
So what would you say that the regional business center, looking back on it, something that they mentioned that you kind of were like, I never would have thought of that. Like just kind of doing your own research and figuring out, because I'm sure you could have gathered the same information. It probably would have taken so much longer and like just way more legwork to get the same information or the same resources. But what is something that they offer or something that they teach that you're kind of like, that's really interesting. Like it maybe opened your eyes to something different you wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, I think the coolest part of like the whole experience was like the fact that they brought in like other entrepreneurs from the community who were like really well established. Oh, sick. And those entrepreneurs were willing to take the time to like talk to us who like knew nothing. And like we were asking like really stupid questions. Like there's obviously that like there's no stupid questions, but like we were asking pretty stupid questions. There were some pretty stupid questions. But they were taking the time to like out of their busy day to like sit with us, chat with us, answer anything, and I think that was the coolest part. And then the other thing too is like I didn't realize how many resources there are available for like new business owners or people who want to get started in that. Like the regional business center, like they have like these programs that can give you a little bit of funding, but they also have like business plan writing programs. They have marketing plan writing programs. They have just like advisors that are there that you can go in, set a meeting with. And you can like pitch them your business, and they can say, okay, like, you know, if you're pitching to an investor, I think you need to look at like this, and this, or you need to change this. Or you can go in there and say, look, I have this idea. I don't even know how to get started. Like, how do I get the licensing in the province and in the city, like for the municipality licenses? Like, what do I even need to get started, right? Like, how do I need to set this up tax-wise? Like, there's so many questions, and they're literally just there, like, willing to answer everything. So. And
those seem like questions, too, that you wouldn't even think of.
No, not until you get started, right? Or until like later, and then you got CRA knocking at the door or something. You're like, but you're like, uh-oh.
that ever happened to you?
No. My mom's a chartered accountant, thank goodness.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we're good. She's good. She's got it all set up. I'm very blessed to have her doing that.
Yeah, so, oh man, yeah, that's cool. So, kind of looking into that a bit, did you know, kind of leaving university, what you were going to, like, focus on, or did you have ideas that you kind of wanted to try out? Like, what did kind of, like, leaving post-secondary look like?
Yeah, so...
Especially during COVID.
Yeah, so it was kind of, awful time for sure. I didn't really know, like, what I wanted to do. Like, I knew I wanted to work for myself. Yeah. I just didn't know, like, what industry or, like, what that looked like yet.
Yeah, and what capacity, I guess.
Yeah, and, like, what capacity. I was kind of like, well, like, I got this degree now, but I don't really want to go work, like, a 9 to 5. Like, that didn't really, like, interest me.
Makes sense.
But I didn't really know, like, what I could do. Because, like, everything was closed. Even the sound, like, we weren't doing any events. Like, that was all closed. Right, so I was just kind of like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? So I just kind of hung out, got a job actually at the LCBO. And that's kind of how Bevo got started, actually. It was a fun little story there. But, I got a job at the LCBO because I was bored. Everything was closed except for the LCBO. Yeah. And for some reason, I don't know. But anyway, so I got a job there, just working the cash. Yeah. And it was crazy. I was like, damn, we are going through, like, product. Like, we are moving product. I was like, that's crazy. And then I was like...
Just everything? Or what was something?
A lot of the coolers, right? I mean, it was summertime, but I was like, we are moving, like skids of coolers. Yeah. Like, so I was like, these companies got to be making good money. Like, it's got to be pretty lucrative. Yeah. And I said, it's a fun, like, space to be in. I was like, And then we always had all these customers asking us, like, like 90% of the coolers are all vodka based. Like, do you have anything that's not vodka? And I'm like, well, I got like some tequila or gin, like nothing really crazy. So in my head, I'm like, this is interesting too. Rum. So I'm like, rum. I'm like, there's like not a lot of rum. So I'm like, interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And then it was an idea for a little bit. And then I said, you know what? It can't be that hard. Like, someone's got to have been able to figure this out before. So reached out to like a bunch of different companies for help. Ended up working with this company based out of the UK called Flavor Can. Oh, no. And they're like, they say they're responsible for like 75% of all the flavors that we taste. I don't know. They're pretty vague. So I was like, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, whatever. But they ended up working with me, and they actually created the Bevo recipes with me. Interesting. And it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Wow. So it's funny you mentioned that too, because we're at a Halloween. It's Halloween, and we're at a friend Devin's house, and my buddy and his friend, they show up, and I was like, yo, you guys gotta try this. This is their, like, and like Rogan was there, I think Tim was there too, whatever, and I was like, yo, you guys gotta try these Bevos, and he's like, oh, okay, and I was like, what do you have? Right? Because like obviously they bring their own coolers or their seltzers, whatever. I'm like, man, what is this? And they're like, they got like some gin thing, and I was like, this isn't that good. And I was like, you think if you like this? I'm like, try this, just try this, and they're like, yeah, okay. They're like, oh shit, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, what is this, rum? I'm like, yeah, rum based, bro. And they're like, and I could be saying it wrong, right? It could be like rum this, not rum based drink, right?
Yeah, it is a rum based drink.
Okay,
you got it. Yeah, you got it,
man. Thank goodness. So what ended up happening is, I told him, I was like, yeah, man, okay, rum based drink, yeah, it's sick, you should try it. And they're like, he's like, this is good. Nobody does. He's like, what's interesting? I'm like, what's interesting, buddy? And he's like, there's nobody doing rum. He's like, nobody does rum. Never had a rum based drink for anything. And I'm like, that out of a can. I was like, you serious? He's like, yeah. I'm like, So you mentioning that is like, oh shit. Yeah, people notice because there's like tequila and other stuff. And I'm like, it's not as good, or it's like one's a bit more overpowering than the other. Whereas I find with you guys, the Bevos are split down the middle. It's like it's not overwhelming taste of rum. Yeah. And it's like there's enough flavor. I'm like, this is refreshing.
Yeah, because Bacardi does make, there's a Bacardi cooler with rum, but it's high sugar, very high sugar. And then there's another one with Captain Morgan, but that's the spice rum. Yeah. And then again, high sugar content. So we're the only one that's using a white rum with no sugar, like zero sugar content.
Which is huge, because everybody who wants to like drink those kind of drinks don't want the sugar.
Yeah, they don't want the sugar, and they want it to taste good. And I found that like our biggest thing with it was like we wanted to create a sugar-free drink that actually tasted good. Yeah. And that's kind of what we were able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think you guys did for sure. Yeah. What's it look like? Kind of, it's online right now and Alberta, but what's it look like coming to Ontario? What's that kind of like?
Yeah, so it's
early summer.
Yeah, so the LCBO is like obviously really hard to deal with.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
We did have a couple meetings with them. They do like the product. Okay, they just want to see more interest in it because it's still in such a new brand.
Makes sense.
So we're in about 150 stores across Alberta right now, which is super exciting. Yeah. We just got the green light in Saskatchewan, so we're actually expanding into there in March.
Nice.
So that's super exciting.
Dude. Yeah,
on the smaller side, we're still kind of excited about it, but on the smaller side, we're available in the Yukon and the Northwest Territories.
Let's go,
now.
baby!
So I was like, okay, we'll take it. So we are there, and then we just got our first approval in BC. So it's like a 2-phase approval in BC. So we got phase 1 done. Now we're just waiting to hear for about phase 2. But yeah, our goal is to basically like take over Western Canada as much as we can, and then bring it back to the LCBO and be like, hey, like look, like this thing has legs, it has viability. Put it on your shelf. Like give us a chance. So they're like aware of us, and we have open communication with them, which is great. So cool, I can't really say like I honestly don't think it'll be this summer. Unfortunately, I think we're probably looking at like a summer of 2026 kind of launch into the LCBO. But I mean, we're just gonna keep plugging away at it and trying, and they already told us, they're like, look, if you show us viability out west, we'll take it for sure. So
no
I'm
kidding,
like, okay, great. Because they love the taste of it. They just don't, they said like, we're not here to help people grow business. We're here to resell product that we know is going to move, right? So
interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I guess it is like a government entity, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they want product in there they know they can sell because they know they can make money, right? Because that's their prerogative at the end of the day. They're just trying to make as much revenue as possible, right? They make billions every year.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Jeez, that's so cool though. So is it kind of right now just like a mix between actually tell me about Orange Theory. How did that get into the mix of all that? I'm very curious.
So cool story. So so Bevo, the idea came while I was working at the LCBO. That was in like 2021. Then I'll talk about the drive-in real quick.
Yeah, please.
So then I did that, and I was like, you know what? This seems like a lot of work. Let me put it on the back burner. So I put Bevo on the back burner, didn't touch it. Then Doug Ford was like, yo, everything is closed again except for drive-ins. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, we don't have any drive-ins up north. I'm like, that sucks for all of us. We can't do anything. I'm like, oh, how hard would it be to start a drive-in? I'm like, it can't be that hard. So found a inflatable screen from China, 40-foot inflatable screen, got it shipped here. Bought an FM transmitter, got a team together, and we started doing drive-in, like pop-up drive-ins in the
What does that Google search look like to find a fucking...
Yeah, just inflatable...
Literally,
inflatable screen in China, and then it was like Alibaba.
Stupid questions we talked about. I'm sorry.
So,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we started doing that. We were just doing it in Sudbury the first summer, and then all the other townships were like, please come to our town, like, please come. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I was like, damn. So we ended up the next summer planning it out, and we went to over 60 different townships in Northern Ontario and Aboriginal reserves, and we started doing like we did drive-in powwows, we did drive-in corporate events for like companies who wanted to do like a fun training thing. We went up to Kirkland Lake Gold and did a thing for all of their workers and their families because they couldn't do any they couldn't get together, right? So this is the only way they could get together. Yeah. So it was kind of cool for us to like come to all these towns and people were like excited for us to come. It was kind of like weird. I was like, what's going on here? Like it's kind of exciting. So did that for the 2 years of COVID, and then COVID ended up going away, I guess. It's still whatever. We're not talking about that. Yeah. Different topic. Switch the topic. Yeah. Anyway, so
Patreon account only. Yeah.
So the lockdown went away basically, but so I stopped doing the drive-ins because there was no market for it anymore. Like when you're competing for entertainment dollars, it's way harder when everything else is closed and we're not competing for entertainment dollars.
Sure.
So we ended up stopping doing. We still do a couple private shows here and there, like we did one last summer, but not to the extent that we used to sell our own tickets and work with the film companies and all that kind of stuff. So we don't do that anymore. But anyway, so then that transitioned. I had revenue saved from that, and I was like, okay, what's next? Like, what do I want to do next? I was a member at Orange Theory in Sudbury. I joined during COVID, and the lockdowns kind of like skewed with my membership because I couldn't go. But I really enjoyed it, and I was just going as a member. Yeah. At this point, I ended up opening a cannabis store with one of my good friends, Alex, and we ended up opening that on Notre Dame. Yeah. It was called Clover Cannabis. Mm-hmm. So I basically took the money I made from the drive-in, opened the cannabis store, ran the cannabis store for about a year and a half with him, and then we decided that like it wasn't something I was like super proud of. I wasn't like, I own like a dispensary. Like, it was kind of a weird topic. Like it was fun. I really enjoyed like learning about that industry. But it kind of goes back to the coffee thing. I don't actually smoke cannabis or anything. So it was kind of funny because I was like, I'd like work and I'd be like, oh, like I don't know what you're looking for. Like,
sativas, and you're like, couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I was like, couldn't tell you, no idea. So it was kind of funny that was like a relation with the coffee thing. But anyway, so we did that. We ended up deciding we wanted to sell it. Yeah. So we sold that, and then while we were selling that, the owners of the Orange Theory in Sudbury were like, like COVID was so hard on us, like like it was brutal. Like they had all these loans for the business to open, and and then the landlord wasn't good with them. They were like charging them rent every month. Like it was just not a good situation. So like they were amazing people, and they were like, you know what, like we gotta sell this. Like we can't keep doing this. Like they were just like, I think they had so much excitement for it, and they were just like beaten down so much that they were just like, we don't even want to try. And I think if they did, they would have been super successful with it. But they were just like, timing. So they were like, you know what, we want to sell it. And I was like, I was like, interesting. I was like, I don't really have anything going on for my next venture. So ended up selling the cannabis store, using that money, bought Orange Theory Sudbury, and ran it for about a year. And then the opportunity came to buy the Barrie location, and I jumped on that. Nice. Bought that. And then had that for about a year. And then I was like, okay, like franchise business is so different than like entrepreneurship and like
Really?
our own like business startups because
Yeah.
you have to basically listen to them. Like you're basically right.
Fair. Yeah.
So I got slapped with like
sense.
a handbook of like you need to follow these rules. You can't be doing
Yeah.
anything outside of these rules. So
Interesting.
yeah, and it wasn't too bad. Like I do really like Orange Theory, but
Yeah.
like as like an entrepreneur, getting like like you don't have that creative freedom.
Yeah, I was about to say the whole idea is the creativity part.
Yeah,
Right?
so I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't really think this is like my like future and like stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I was like, let's like start kind of like divesting out of this.
Yeah.
And focus on like other businesses that that I could run and I could be creative with. So that's when I decided to sell the Berry Studio. So sold it in the fall. And then we have the Sudbury Studio listed for sale right now, and we have a couple offers coming in, which is exciting.
Right
Timmy
on.
is giving me a hand with
Big
that.
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
man.
yeah, so that's great. So so we'll see. And then basically last December, I sat down with Tim and Rogan. And I said, guys, like I said, I've known Rogan for years and met Tim recently.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I said, like, it'd be cool to do a business with you guys. And they were like, yeah like, it'd be sick. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm pitching you guys this. I said, it's already done. I said, all the legwork's done. I said, we just gotta initiate it.
Yeah.
And I told them about Bevo, and I said, all the recipes are done. Everything's done. Like, do you want to launch it? And they were like, yeah, we do.
Yeah,
so I was like, sick. So then that following July, we flew out to Alberta and we filmed the first production of our cans.
Hell yeah.
So and now we're here. So it's been kind of crazy. And I said too, like it hasn't even been a year and we're already in like 2 territories, 2 provinces, 150 locations in Alberta. Like I said, like we're growing. Like it's going.
You're about to
well.
be fully like phase 1 complete of phase of 2 in BC. Like, oh, man, that's crazy. They complement, like the 3 of you guys complement each other very well too, in terms of personalities and like what you bring to the table. I was like, man, that's sick.
Yeah, no, I find it's perfect because like Tim's great with that people person and like sales and running sales and connecting with the stores. Rogan's all over the marketing and the video film and all that kind of stuff. Man. And then I like to handle all like the administrative, all the paperwork, the back end stuff, ordering, production, logistics, stuff that, they probably that kind of stuff.
Don't prefer to do.
No, probably not. But I love that kind of stuff. So it works out great.
That's awesome.
So yeah, no, we have a really good friendship, really good bond as business partners. So no, I'm excited to see where it's going to go in the next couple of years.
Well, with that kind of being said, do you want to do you want to smash one? Taste test?
Yeah, we can do a taste test. Yeah, for sure. Do you have a favorite flavor?
I do really like the pineapple and the peach. I'm kind of in between.
Okay.
I can't quite decide.
Don't let Rogan hear you, man. It's kind of funny actually. Like my favorite's the peach.
Yeah.
Rogan's favorite's the pomegranate.
Yeah,
and Tim's is the pineapple,
it
which is so funny.
Right? That's awesome.
I know. So it's kind of funny.
Smash these. I mean, you brought them to like that would be drank, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, perfect. Oh yeah. When did I got peach, dude?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, right on. Cheers, dude. I really appreciate it.
Cheers,
Thank you so much. Oh yeah. It's like people always like. I mean, me. I look back at the vlog I took, and I'm like, I got a couple things I want to film for it before, but or release it. But what ended up happening is I look, and every time I take a sip of something, no matter whose drink it was at the Alberta. I got that wine, food and beverage.
Oh yeah.
Festival.
Whatever
it was called.
It was called Rocky Mountain Spirit Show.
Thank you, Rocky Mountain Spirit Show. Shout out to them. Amazing event. I had fun, and I ended up everywhere I went to drink and test things. I always had like a look on my face, and I was like, don't let the look on my face for people watching this. Don't let the look on my face deter from the taste and the actual flavor or my opinion of the drink, because I'm like, I'll have like a okay, but I'm trying to like fully let it get everywhere inside my mouth, trying to taste it, trying to make sure it goes down well, like all that stuff. Yeah. You know, I want to be refreshed and like quenched. You know
no, definitely.
Yeah, so that's the whole. I'm like, I'm like, no, because I know somebody's gonna say something about it. Because I saw it and immediately was like, oh man. So I just want to clarify that for when people see that. But yeah, dude, I think I told them too. I was like, man, I think you guys got something here. Like, it's the fun, really good. I mean, I really like the product alone. It's like, it's good, unique. It's like unique colors. It's unique flavor. There's nothing, because I'm a big fan of like refreshing alcoholic drinks with no sugar.
Yeah.
Right? Because I find I can't do beer because it's just like, to me, like I just get bloaty.
Yeah, I don't like beer either.
No, I get bloaty. I feel like crap. And then I can't do, what's it called? And then some of the heavier, like just the heavy sugar, like the Mike's Hard Lemonades are just brutal, just riddled with sugar, stuff like that. So like dude. So like the popular summer drinks I found, I'm like, no, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we wanted to do, because it was like, I was in the same boat. I didn't like beer, didn't like the sugary drinks, but like I felt like I was forcing myself to drink the White Claws because I was like, oh, they got no sugar, but I'm like, these taste horrible. Like, you know what I mean? And I was doing everything.
There's
I was
no flavor to it.
No, I was trying to like shake them so there's no carbonation and drink it like flat, and it was gross too. Like, it just wasn't good. I'm like, why am I suffering? Like, I want to have a good time. Like, you know what I mean? So that's why it kind of came down to like, hey, like we could totally do this better. Like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I think, which is kind of cool how like most entrepreneurs start. They're like, they see something and they're like, there's got to be a better way, or I can do this better. And that's how like they get started.
Really? I was going to ask you too, if somebody were to, like if you want to start a business from scratch and they came to you as like a mentor in this space and they're like, hey, like you've ran some successful things, you've sold, you bought and sold, you've ran things. What would be step one, like you would coach to kind of, like, what does that almost blueprint look like? Or is it just like, hey, I have to answer this question? What does step one look like? Whether it's answer to a question or an idea or something like that?
Yeah, I think step one is the business plan.
Yeah.
Even for Bevel, like we have probably like a 200-page business plan that we worked on before we even like launched the product, just because like you need to be aware. Like, it's great to have a cool idea, but then, okay, now that you have that idea, what's the odds someone else already had that idea? And what's the odds someone else already in that space or in a similar idea, right?
Sure.
So like, I think it's really important. Like, you want to get started, that's great, but you got to do a business plan.
Right.
Whether it's an intense one, like we went a little crazy with ours, but we're also doing a company across Canada, right? We're looking at different provinces and territories where in alcohol it's all restricted, right? There's different sale models where you could do like a small business plan. But I think it's important because it's like, you want to open a new business. It's like, okay, that's great. Okay, who's your competitors? You know, is there potential in the market? Like, what's your demographic? Like, what's your customer base opportunity? Like, just so you're aware of all that stuff. So I think that's like step one, really. And that's where, like, again, like you can get help. Like, we got our business plan reviewed by the Regional Business Center.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Like, we went and did that. I do it for everything, because at the end of the day, like, I think the biggest thing that like you'll notice when talking to most entrepreneurs is like, you can never stop learning. Like, you'll never know everything.
True.
And like, you'll never see everything from like all angles, right? Because you're kind of biased. Like, I'm like, oh, Bevel's gonna be amazing. It's my favorite. Like, I think it'll do well.
Yeah,
but I have someone else.
Much into it.
Yeah, and I have someone else looking at it going, oh no, maybe like you know, like there's this coming out, or like you gotta look at this, or you gotta look at this, right? So it's always good to have other set of eyes, and almost like, not even like they're tearing you down, but like maybe like devil's advocate as well, like to question you, because like, you know, like, okay, you think this is such a good idea, why? Like, what's your why? Like, what's driving this? You know what I mean? So I think that's like definitely step one, is just writing out the business plan and then getting some different eyes on it, whether it's your friends, your family, you know, the Regional Business Center, that kind of stuff. Like, just get some different eyes on it so they can see, you know, maybe challenge you a little bit, so you know, because it's just going to help you grow at the end of the day. Right.
Which leads me get well into the thing I was curious about. How do you choose people you do different things with? Is it based on kind of like what, like how, obviously it's like how long, or I guess their expertise or something, or how it matches? Like, how do you go about choosing like a team to work with?
Yeah, so good question. I think it just comes down to like relationship. Yeah. Like, really, like at the end of the day, everyone that I've ever partnered with has been a friend first.
Nice.
That's not always good though. Like, I will say, like, I will say that, like, because business can get stressful and business can get ugly, and you know, like, I definitely lost a really good friend due to like a business that didn't do well.
Right.
And that kind of sucked. And you know, I still think about it from time to time, but you know, like, it is hard sometimes, like working with your friends as well, because you got to kind of separate that church and state.
Yeah.
So I am a little bit more cautious now about who I partner with versus like when I used to before.
Right.
Just because I think I'm more aware of, like, you know, like, this was a really good friend of mine and now I don't see him anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So that kind of sucks. But yeah, I think it just comes with that, and then also a little bit of expertise, right? Like, I think that, like, you know, like when I partnered with my friend Alex. Like, we were friends for a couple of years before we did the cannabis store, and then he was more well versed in that realm, and like knew like what people were looking for. He knew like the product names, he knew the strains.
Oh, right,
like,
on. Yeah.
So he knew all that. So he had that knowledge, and then I had kind of like the business knowledge. So together we worked great, because I knew nothing about the product, but he knew everything about the product. So we worked really well together. And then same with like Bevel, like Rogan, amazing with video and marketing stuff.
Amazing.
But like I probably like we wouldn't have another. Like, why would we need two of him? Like, you know what I mean? So it kind of worked out that, like, Tim and him were already friends as well. and that we all kind of bring something different to the table.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think just like it came from like relationship with like friendship first.
Yeah.
And then also like skill set.
Okay.
Because funny enough, I do get like I try to be humble. Like I don't want to be too cocky, but like I do get like a decent. No, I do get a decent amount of people that reach out saying, "Hey, like have a business idea," or like, "Hey, like let's start something."
I was
together.
gonna ask you this. This is
I get that.
I'm like, I bet people ask you.
Yeah, they do, and it's like sometimes it's like, oh, that's an interesting idea, but I mean, at the end of the day, like I think I've really realized too, like now that like before it was like I want to have like 100 businesses, I want to be busy nonstop, I want to be going, and now it's just like. Now it's like, you know what, like I want to do maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4 businesses really, really well. And then that's it. And like focus on like, just enjoying life, doing more time for myself. Like I think I was so focused on business and so just focused on like the hustle that like I'm like missing like key like opportunities to like create memories with friends, to build other relationships that aren't business related. You know what I mean? Like just like so focused on work that I was like missing everything else that was happening. So I've kind of like taken a step back now and I'm like, okay, let's not own a ton of businesses. Let's own a couple. Let's do them really well. Yeah. And let's also take time to, like, go to the hockey game, like, go hang out with friends, like, build those relationships. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's kind of been a big pivot in the last year for me personally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you, it's funny, though, because looking at that and seeing it, so right now it's the 4 of them, right? The 4 businesses? Or 3 Once Orange Theory.
Yes, 3 Once Orange Theory is sold,
because there's, if my memory is correct, there's also Slush Puppy, right?
There is Slush Puppy,
like the mobile one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
That was kind of like, I was like, let's do something fun for the summer, and, I used to have an ice cream trailer back in the day called Freezing Point.
Yes.
And it was kind of like, and I had slushies in there, and I was like, you know what? I was like, why don't we like do a slushie trailer? I love slushies, even though they're full of sugar, so I try not to have them. But it was actually funny. Mark from Boss actually ordered me in this pre-workout, and it's Slush Puppy flavored. He's like, yo, I thought of you. I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, thanks, bro. I'm like, this is awesome. He's like, I had to bring it in. I'm like, I love it. So
that's cool.
But yeah, I just did that kind of like a fun summer thing, and then we run it every summer. But it's pretty fun, like, to be a part of, like, when you got like a huge line of like 100 customers, and you're just pumping out the slushies. Like, it's lots of fun. We got music bumping, like, so.
Yeah, it's a good time. So you just literally are like, you know what? This might be a good idea.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
man,
pretty much.
That's cool. That's cool. You can have kind of that, like that spunk to do that. You're just like, you know what? Thanks. Who cares?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. Good for you. That's really cool. There's funny you mention that though, because with almost speaking of Mark in a way, take me through, because I want to commend you on something, because I think there's something that I talk a lot about, especially on the last episode of the show with Megan. But like we talked a lot about like health, fitness, like lifestyle, kind of like healthy living as a focus. I noticed that you went through a transformation, right? A transformation, if that's a little excessive. Or
like a lifestyle change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Take me through kind of like the beginning of that, like a good weight loss kind of journey. I love a good a good hero story like that, man. So take us through that, please.
Yeah, so if we go back, I guess, to like when we were doing the drive-ins.
Yes.
We were like on the road.
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. Yeah. We were on the road 24/7. We were doing movies till like 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. What's open at 3 a.m.? McDonald's. That's it. Yeah. Right. So like that whole summer was like just make loving every day. Yeah. Like it was crazy. So I remember at the end, like when we kind of stopped the drive-in, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like the heaviest I've ever been, and like I've always like struggled with weight. Like when I was younger, like I was always chunkier. Like I remember we did a marketing presentation in one of my business classes, and the prof we did it on Swoop, which is no longer an airline, but we did it on them, and we were talking about seats, and the professor's like, yeah, you'd have to buy 2, right? And I was like, oh, like that's great, like in front of the whole class. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. Yeah. So always definitely struggled with weight. So I've always wanted to get into like fitness and like lose it, right? But it's super hard to get started. Like you ask anyone, like it's so hard to get started.
Before you get into it, it's making a weird, like it's going red, so it should be a 2-hour battery limit, but I think it's cutting off.
It's cold.
I think I like had it testing yesterday, and then I think I just swapped them out. But luckily, I was nervous. In my head, I saw it at half. I was like, it shouldn't be at half. It should be a 2-hour record limit. We don't even have to bother with anything. So. I ended up buying a new camera recently, so it used to be 30 minutes, so every 30 minutes I would get up and just reset it. Dude, it was,
brutal.
It was bad. It was bad. But yeah, full battery. Yeah, we're good to go. So, yeah, I think you were looking at Swoop Airline, and you were kind of studying it for class.
Yeah, I was studying for class, and the prof made like a joke, like you'd have to buy 2 seats kind of thing. Like, so I've always struggled with like weight. So during the drive-in at the end.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dude, your prof said that?
Yeah, he said that in front of the whole class.
No.
I remember like I had friends in the class. They were like looking at me. They're like, "Yo, like,
yeah,
what?"
You should fight the prof.
I was like, I will fight the prof. No.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. So anyway, just like always
That's
kind of,
for sure,
always like struggled with that. Didn't really love the way I looked, that kind of stuff. So, basically did the drive-in, finished that. One of my really good friends, Dana, she was the head coach at Orange Theory at the time. She was like, "You gotta come take a class." I'm like, "No, like I've never stepped foot in the gym before.
Yeah.
Like it's not for me." Like
I
was like,
do a class.
Yeah, and I was like, "I'm gonna do a class," and I was like super intimidated. I was like, "I'm not fit at all." Like I was like, "I don't want to do that." And she's like, "Just come." Like, and I'm like, and she kept bugging me, and I finally said yes. I was like, "I'll go." So I went, and like everyone's gonna think I'm plugging Orange Theory here, but it was literally like the best experience ever because I felt like it was such a community vibe. I felt so safe. I felt like I wasn't being judged. I felt like I was like being motivated to like do better, and they were just like celebrating the fact that I was there. Like, so I was like, this is big. Like I was like, this is really big. So I was like, okay. So I started like going, and then I also became really good friends with Mark because he had the supplement store.
Yes.
And I actually opened my Freezing Point trailer over there a couple years before. It was in the parking lot. Yeah. So I knew Mark, and I was kind of like knew what he was doing, and I knew at the time he was actually building out a private training studio in the back of the store called Ironworks.
Yes, I remember.
So I reached out to him, like, "Yo, Mark, like, let's train together." Because Orange Theory is great. It's all cardio focused stuff. Yeah. But like it doesn't really focus on strength. Yeah. So like I wanted to like lose the weight in cardio, but I wanted to also do strength training. Man. So I reached out to Mark and I said,
"Yo, some muscle.
Like let's do this." So he was like, "All right." He's like, "I'll write you a meal plan." He's like, "We'll do this." So I got to give like probably 80% of the credit to Mark and then 20% to Orange Theory. But yeah, man, I started doing Orange Theory classes. I started following Mark's meal plan. I started training with Mark 4 times a week. And we saw crazy transformation. I lost like 80 pounds of body fat. That's insane. In like probably a year and a half. It was amazing.
What was your, if you don't mind me asking, your like the heaviest? Like what was that 80 pounds come from?
Oh yeah, so my heaviest was 290.
Yeah.
Was like the heaviest.
And you dropped 80 pounds from that?
Down to like 210. Yeah. So so it was crazy.
Good for you.
It was a really crazy transition.
Yeah, that's tough. And that's not that heavy. I guess
no, it wasn't that heavy. That's what I mean, right? It's not.
You don't have as much to lose. From, right?
And that's what I'm saying. I was like, I fit in an airplane seat fine before. Like I was like,
go back to your professor and be like, I bought one ticket. I bought one ticket, one seat.
Yeah, right. Like,
oh man. Bend.
Yeah. So went through that, and then you know what? Like, I got to my like goal weight, and I was like, great. And then I stopped. And I think a lot of people who go through transformations will talk about this, and I don't think a lot of people like realize it too. But like, it's like, you know, like you can go so far and then it gets hard again to keep going. Like it's hard to start, it's hard to continue, and then it's hard to keep going.
I think it's hardest to keep going too.
Yeah, probably harder than starting, right? So I think
you have all the momentum, right? You're like, oh man, I got a buddy making me a work plan. He's jacked. I got like all these cool classes.
Yeah, and you're
like,
losing the weight, and you're like, oh, this is sick. I see
progress.
I see progress, right?
Invest in you,
Yeah, so it's all hype at the beginning, and then you're like, how do I maintain this now, right? Like, how do I? And I think it's hard for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but it is hard to maintain. So I think like. I got busy with work again. I got busy with everything else. I stopped prioritizing the gym. I stopped prioritizing my eating. And, like I put on probably another 20 pounds back from when I started. And that's kind of where I'm at today. But you know what? Like, I've started going back to the gym, prioritizing that again.
Let's go.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, the thing that Mark said to me that stood out the most, that I think everyone should, like, really, like, look at when they're looking at their fitness goals, is, like, I was like, yo, Mark, like, I put on 20 pounds, like, I'm nowhere near where I started. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, look at the scale. Or not the scale. He's like, look at the graph. He's like, you're going up. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you dip down. He's like, but you're not back where you started.
No,
right? He's like,
you're
so you're
still
going back
above.
up. You're still above where you started. So he's like, just go hard, and he's like, you'll get there again.
That's interesting that he said graph and not scale. I almost prefer that a lot because the scale is like, you know, I was talking to my girlfriend about this too recently. It was like, we try not to focus on the scale. It's like, focus on how you feel. Focus on, like, you know,
how you
look
how
too.
Do you look,
Yeah, how you look in the clothes you fit, like you fit in and stuff like that. How they fit, right? Like where are they tight, where are they loose, right? Because that makes a difference, right? I think for people too, and like you said, like it's how you feel, how you looking good is important.
Yeah. Well,
right?
And I think the thing that I love about Mark is he was like, don't step on the scale. Like, he's like, I don't want to know.
Oh,
He's like, no scale.
I love it.
But
yeah,
they have an in-body scan machine, which we also have at Orange Theory.
Mm.
And Mark actually went out and bought one for Boss.
What the hell are those?
I'll tell you, it's sick.
Let's
So
go.
we have one in Orange Theory. Mark saw that we
Yeah.
had one in Orange Theory, and this is what he did. He was like, you know what? I want to buy one for Boss and have it there for anyone to use for free. No purchase necessary. So he went out, bought this machine. It's like a $10,000 machine. It's an in-body scan machine. Basically what it does, it measures your body fat percentage, your skeleton mass, your muscle mass, all of that, and it sends it into a nice detailed report. It'll show like where your muscle is on your arms or your legs. It sends like an electro signal through your body, and you stand on it, and it scans all that. So like, little plug for Boss supplements. You can go in and get it scanned, dude.
Next.
Yeah, exactly, right? But it's cool because like,
what?
I did it in December, just for reference. I did it in December, and then I just did it. So it's been about 4 weeks since I did it.
Nice.
I'm only down on the scale 5 pounds, but I'm down 5% body fat. I'm up 6 kilograms in muscle mass.
Let's go.
And so you know what I mean? But you don't look like when you're like, oh, I'm only down 5 pounds.
Yeah, you resonate
you're like,
that
you're
with
upset.
the number.
But you're like, no, dude, look at this. You're actually up in weight or up in muscle because muscle weighs more than fat, right?
It's true, yeah.
So I think just that mindset of like, don't look at the scale. Do an in-body scan. You can do one for free at Boss, and then also just like what he said, like, look, fitness is a journey. It's not like a single event.
Yeah, it's
and like one of my good friends, Simon, like he just went through crazy transformation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that. He lost like I want to say like over like 150 pounds.
no way. Good for him.
Yeah. So he used to be a DJ here in town. He lives out west, and he got shredded. He actually won a bodybuilding competition this past summer.
Come on.
He's such an inspiration, but like he's saying it now too. He's like, you know
That's
what? Like
cool.
he's like, I got to that bodybuilding competition, I won, and he's like, now I'm gaining a bit of weight back. You know, and he's like, now he's talking about that. He's like, it's that scale thing again, right? Like as long as you're progressively moving up, you are gonna have dips, and that's normal. But I think a lot of normal people are like, oh, like I can't do this, and then they quit. Then it's like, no, like, keep going, keep pushing through.
Well, I found a lot of the times we attribute success to numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like we find a way to like attribute that to some form of analytical and format, and I think especially with weight loss and the scale, people see it or they're like, oh, I'm doing well, and then there's like a lull, and then that kind of like defeats the momentum and it crushes them, and then they can't quite get over the speed bump. Because I know of a handful of different people recently too that have like been on like a 4 month, really good 4 month, but they can't make it to 6.
Yeah.
Right, because of what you're talking about, where they're addicted to the scale. Or my biggest thing too that I found myself talking about is they train more than like so I train in like grappling, so I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of wrestling, a lot of MMA type wrestling stuff as well, and training like that. So I'll do I lift weights twice a week, and then I'll do 4 to 5 grappling, like wrestling, MMA wrestling, and then jiu-jitsu classes like throughout the week. So that's quite a bit for the average bear. So if you start from nothing and then you want to train, 6 times a week? You want to train 6 times a week for 2 hours every day, or every day except the one. It's like you're gonna burn out very quickly. Like I had to build up to that, and even now, still doing that, adding a third workout is still like, since the new year started, is like, that's tough. Where I can feel at the end of my 5th grappling class or grappling session is like, boy, my body's a bit like, I'm pretty burnt out. Like I'm pretty pushed. I can't shit's not firing as it should. And I find the biggest thing too is the burnout right away. Like how'd you start? Like, did you guys start kind of small in terms of working out, or do you start
to build off that.
Times,
like Mark basically said to me, he's like, look, like he's like, you can't go all in right away.
He just knows.
He just knows. He's genius.
Yeah.
But he's like, you can't go in all in right away, because he's like, your body's gonna basically get to a point where it plateaus, right? And he's like, the whole goal of fitness is like, you do a couple things, you start to see that weight loss, you start to see the changes you want. Now your body's used to it, it's plateauing. Okay, you got to hit it with something new. Now it's like, oh, okay, now we're going again. He's like, the problem is a lot of people think, okay, I'm gonna change my eating right away. I'm gonna go to the gym 5 days a week, and it's gonna be great. And he's like, yeah, maybe the first 3 weeks or 3 months you see all those changes, but then your body's used to that. So he's like, well, how do we get the rest of the fat off? We gotta change it. So we started doing
that's a good point.
lighter workouts, maybe twice a week, and then we built up to 3 times a week. Then we built up to 4 times a week.
Smart.
And then we also built up to okay, now we're gonna go to failure this day, or we're gonna do a heavier set, or we're gonna do harder more intense exercises,
Yeah.
right? Or he was like, hey, when you're at Orange Theory, add an extra class, or like run a bit faster on the treadmill, or like, you know what I mean, like crank it up a little bit.
Like
he
push
said,
it here and
yeah,
there.
push it here,
Not
like push
3
it a bit
hours
harder.
day, every day.
Yeah, no, exactly. So he said,
Smart.
yeah, you got to start small, build up to it, and you
Yeah.
got to like do things. So like, he's like, you do everything all at once. He's like, it won't work. Like even the meal plan, he's like, okay, cut out sugar, eat healthier, but I'm not giving you a meal plan right away. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay.
You
So
don't
he's
start
like,
weighing
he's like,
your
you don't,
meats.
no, not yet. And then he's like, not yet. And then we got to that point eventually.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
But it took a bit of time, and because we did it with the time, right? My body reacted to it. Where if you did it all at once, he's like, yeah, it'd be great for 3 months, and then he's like, I don't know what to tell you now. Like, he's like, your body's used to all that. Like,
which is, man, it's crazy because every time I think about it, I know I'm not gonna mention them too, but I definitely know of a few people recently too that did the kick for 4 to 5 months, couldn't get the 6, and then, but yeah, they would do the opposite. It was like hardcore meals, hardcore this, hard. I was like, man, you gotta like just be chill in the beginning, work to it, and then slowly.
and you gotta realize, like,
I co-sign everything Mark said.
Yeah, and
So,
it's not
brilliant.
It's not like the big thing that Mark always told me. He's like, you got to be ready. Like, this is not a sprint. Like,
Yeah.
it is a marathon, and he's like, it is like a 1 to 2 year marathon. You know, like he's like, it's not gonna happen in like 6 months. He's like, it's not gonna happen in a year. Like, he's like, you got like, you know, he's like, you got to work towards it. He's like,
Yeah,
you didn't.
man.
And the thing that kind of stuck with me that I didn't like think about either. He's like, it took years for you to put the weight on.
Yeah.
He's like, right, so it's gonna take years
At
to take
least
the
that
weight
same
off,
amount of
right?
time.
At least, if not more,
True.
to take that off, right? And I said,
Yeah.
I don't think about that. But that's the whole thing. Like, I think as humans, we're just so eager for that quick satisfaction,
man.
that quick gratification. Like, we're like, I don't want to wait. I want to, you know,
Yeah.
take this, or I'd rather take 10 Ozempics.
I was about
right?
to say, I was like, shut
and
up
then,
to Ozempic,
and then
yeah.
not do any work on myself. But you
Yeah.
know, and that's crazy too. Like, Mark actually broke down to me. Like, I asked him, like, yo, like, what's up with Ozempic? Like,
Yeah,
people are
talk to me.
taking this. Like, I'm working hard at the
Interesting.
gym, and he's like, no, man. He's like, it's not good. It's eating away at muscle. It's not eating away at fat. So he's like, it's tricking. It's
No
tricking people. And I was
way.
like, oh my goodness. I was like, that's crazy. So
No way.
he said, like, someone he
I gotta
knows
talk to
started.
him about
Yeah, you do. You
gotta
got to
reach
get him
out.
on the show too.
I gotta
man.
reach out, yeah.
But yeah, he was talking about
Gotta
it,
go
and it
involved.
was just so interesting. And he was like, you know, like he's like, it's scary because he's like, people
Yeah.
older people are taking it and they're losing weight on the scale.
So
The
they're-
scale's going down. So they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm losing weight, but they're not losing the fat. They're losing the muscle. And now they're becoming frail, and now that's dangerous. If they fall, break their, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're
So
like
he's
higher risk for injury. Yeah.
So, but I mean, at the end of the day, like he said, like people will pay millions before just going to the gym or eating healthy.
And gym memberships aren't that expensive.
No, and eating healthy isn't that expensive when you break it down. Like
No.
he's like, you know, you go to McDonald's, it's $15 a meal. You know,
Yeah.
I get Factor meals delivered to me.
Nice.
And they're like $14 a meal. Like, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
good food and it's fresh.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so there's not really any excuse to it, but it's almost like an addiction Mark talked about. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, everyone's addicted to the dopamine and the sugar that they're getting from that, right?
Yeah.
Like, so he always broke it down to me. He's like, you know, like, he's like, if you're sad, he's like, you're going to crave dopamine, right?
Right.
He's like, what's the quickest way to get
Oh,
dopamine? Fast food, right?
Jeez, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, so he breaks all that down, and I find
Yeah.
it so interesting because I'm like, now I catch myself. I'm like, oh, I'm having a bad day. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I want, like, fast food or something. I'm like, oh, why is that? Oh, because I want the
Yeah.
dopamine. Okay, no, let's go to the gym and get the dopamine there. Like, you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
there's
let's
different
earn it
ways
a
to
bit.
get it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just really interesting how he breaks it all down.
So it's funny you mentioned. Want to hear something crazy about Ozempic? So I have somebody close to me. I'm not gonna really say who, but they she older woman, maybe like early 60s, late 50s. She started taking it. Used to have a shopping craving, like an addiction. I didn't say addiction to shopping, but like shopped
it.
often. Yeah, like maybe a little too much for me, but the average bear, but a little bit more than that. So, anyways, apparently I was told actually that apparently she no longer has the craving to shop. Now that right? So like kind of removes those cravings. Whereas like you or me might see something or like a box of like cinnamon rolls at the grocery store. Like we could be disciplined enough to not do that. Whereas like she maybe couldn't, or other people like that couldn't in that same scenario. Whereas I found looking at that too, I was like, oh, that's a bit scary. It's like that's just adding almost false discipline. So then she's just saying, no, I can't have this now. It's like now just chooses not to or doesn't want to. And I'm wondering, kind of jumping off that, have you ever done a fast at all? You ever fasted at all?
I've done like short fasts. I've never done like multiple day fasts or anything, but I have done like
what's the longest?
Probably like 15 hours.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, I think that amazing. The longest one I did was 36.
Oh, that's like, impressive, man. That's good.
The only thing good about it was like what I'm about to tell you is just like wild in terms of craving, but everything else about it was the worst thing ever too, because I stayed on the training path, like I stayed doing my training and stuff like that. So like, dude, that was back when like we would have 5:30 a.m. like MMA wrestling class, and so we did I was doing an hour and a half from 5:30 to 7 in the morning, just like fighting people. It was just miserable, dude. It was like the worst.
Yeah, thing especially ever. If you got no like protein or anything after that, right? Like,
and I messed up too, as you can imagine. I overindulged the night before because I knew, because it was like 6 p.m. to like 6 a.m. not the next day but the day after, right? So that's what we ended up doing. I did it to support a buddy who was doing a 72-hour fast, which is like insane. Shout out to Al. And so my buddy Pat and I did 36 hours to support him through the second, like the hard part of it. And we're just like, Al will call us and be like, hey, just checking in, how you guys doing, right? You know, I appreciate you guys supporting, you know, this is like, I'm at a tough time for this. And we're like, no, it's not that bad. Like, we're doing it. And he's like, you're doing great. And we're like, thanks, man. I call my buddy Pat and we're just like, dude, this sucks. This is miserable. I'm like, I'm angry at everybody for everything and I have no need for it. I'm like, everything is food to me. I heard, like, I could hear a Smartie like land on like concrete a mile away. Like, it was the wildest thing ever, dude. I looked at people differently. I was like, I could eat this human right now. Nobody will stop me. I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, it was weird, man. It was weird for me. But then what ended up happening is I go buy groceries for like the like celebratory end of fast meal. I go to buy groceries and usually I'll do like a 2 or 3. I think I mentioned this before too on the show, but I've done like 2 or 3 like packs of Skittles or packs of jelly beans. And I'll like leave, right? Because when you go to the grocery store, dude, like especially at the Independence, they have like all the candy right at the end, right? Yep. The chocolates,
while
the
you're
Mentos.
standing there waiting, you're like staring at it. It's like looking at you. It's like grab me. Yeah. And stuff, I know. It's like grab me right now.
Yeah. So I would grab them, and I would grab a couple packs every time, or white Kit Kats just did it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, dangerous, right?
Dangerous.
Yeah, and I would do that. And then I would, all of a sudden, I'd be like, you know, all right. I was standing in line after the fast, or like towards the end of the fast when I was doing my shopping for the meal. And I was sitting there like, you know, this, I was like, no, I can't grab them. I can't. Because what, am I going to eat them tomorrow? And I didn't want to eat the bad food as like a celebratory meal, right? So I was like, you know, I'm not going to do it. And then ever since then, I've yet to like impulsively just wait in line and grab it. I'll wait in line for 20 minutes and just look at them and just be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I
that's
should have
awesome.
way more discipline for it than I used to. No Ozempic, nothing. Just pure starvation. Oh, it was awesome. So, I mentioned this to you kind of as you came in the studio today, and how like you're up late doing the Shake It Up media, and you're up late producing, you're up late doing, and then like you'll do your midnight hot tubs in the winter and stuff like that, You're doing it all, you're a busy guy, and I'm wondering, how do you manage, because that is the number one excuse people have for not like prioritizing their health.
Yeah.
Right? How do you manage to prioritize it, or like find room or schedule it, even despite also being on the road times as well?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of time, and like it does take a lot of energy, and it is hard. Like, I won't like sugarcoat it. Like, it's a lot of work, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, you just gotta like. I think it comes down to like, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve, and like, how are you gonna get there? And like, I looked at like, hey, I'm putting all this energy into my businesses, and I'm getting all these goals, and I'm reaching all these new heights.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not doing that to myself. Like, I am the person that's gonna, like, you know what I mean? I gotta take care of me. And I think that goes into like where I kind of had like that reset last year of like focus less on like driving a ton of businesses, focus more on driving a couple focus on yourself, my own health, my friendships, my other relationships, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, and I think honestly Google Calendar has been like amazing.
Yeah. It's underrated.
Yeah, it is. It's super underrated. But just like, you don't even have to, like, I don't plan my weeks out.
No.
So, like, I know that I want to go to the gym. You know, I want to work out with Mark 3 times a week. I want to go to Orange Theory twice a week. Okay?
Yeah.
So I know I want to do that.
Oh, nice.
And then I know that I'm going to have some meetings. And I know that I'm going to have, late night show here, there, and then whatever. So I book my meetings in my calendar.
Yeah.
And I know where they are. And then I kind of just play it play it a couple days in advance. Like, okay, tomorrow I have this going on. I'm going to hit the gym here. Because I know that if I have time, I need to go take it because some days I won't have it. Like, what was it? This week on, I think it was Wednesday, I, like, woke up and it was, like, chaos. Like, all the businesses needed my attention at the same time. And I was like, okay, I have no time to go to the gym today. And I was working till like 6 p.m. At my desk, working on stuff, answering phone calls. I like to say sometimes that I'm a firefighter because I'm just putting out fires, but not real fires. But yeah, so I try to like do it. So I'm like, you know, when I have time, like get up and go, right? Like, so, and I think a lot of that too is just like building, again, that supportive community at the gym. Like, I have people asking me, hey, are you coming to the gym today? I have Mark, hey, you coming in to do a workout today? Like, because we normally work out together. Yeah. But it's like, it's just so much more motivating when you have that kind of like friends or like circle of people. And I think too, like, sometimes you can go to the gym and you can meet people. Like, I've met people at the gym who are like now my friends who I've never met before.
Amazing, yeah.
And they're like, hey, like, you going to come do a workout, or I'm going to this class tomorrow? I'm like, perfect, I'll be there, right? Because it's so much more motivating when someone's kind of like almost relying on you to show up. Right, it's a little bit different than like if you're like, oh, I'm kind of just like gonna go for myself. But it is really important to go for yourself too. But it is hard. It is hard.
Right. It's like the accountability to it is. It's like, oh, now I'm also accountable to them.
Kind of, right? Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to let them down.
No, exactly.
Yeah, for
you,
sure.
you want to be there. And then I think like the thing is too is like what's your, like, we always talk about an Orange Theory.
Yes.
When someone walks in, we're like, what's your why?
I love that. I love that question.
Why are you here? And a lot of the time too, like, your why needs to be about you. Yeah. Not about someone else. Like, we do have a lot of people, and I think a lot of people struggle with fitness because they're like, well, I want to get fit so I can find a girl, or I want to get fit so I'll get, like, noticed, or I want to get fit so I could, like, you know what I mean? Like, just be more confident. Like, but, like, I think, like, it comes down to, like, you got to do for yourself first. Yeah, you got to get fit, and you got to get in shape for you because that's what you want, and that's your goals. Yeah. And I know I have a ton of friends who are, like, not fit. Yeah. Shout out. No, I'm just kidding. I won't name drop. No, but they're totally happy in that, right? So it's all about, I mean, I think at the end of the day, as long as you're happy as an individual, that's all that matters. Like, but don't be going out getting fit for someone else. I think it's all about you. And I have friends who don't want to go to the gym, and that's fine too, because they're completely happy with who they are, right? So, but yeah, the why is like the big one, right? Like, we have people that come in and they go, you know, I want to do this so I can play with my grandkids, or I want like older people, right? And I'm like, I love that answer. Like, you're doing it for you. Like, you know what I mean? And then those people, they get so much further. Yeah. They reach those goals. They go so much further because they did it for themselves. They didn't do it for someone else, right?
Especially if they're talking longevity too.
Yeah, like the health stuff and that kind of stuff. Like, it's crazy. Like, just like your heart health that you get from doing it. And like a couple months ago, my mom actually fell down the stairs. She like lost her balance.
Oh no, is she all right?
Yeah, she's good. She's good. Yeah, but she went to the hospital and she just had a like slight break in her arm, like a fracture. Oof. And they were like, "You're in like really good, like health wise, like you're in great shape for your age." And she's like, they're like, "What do you do?" She's like, "Well, I go to Orange Theory like 4 times a week." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what it is."
Well,
like,
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Right. So like I think we kind of miss that. Like, when we look at it now, like, to us, like, we're just like, oh, we want to be fit, or we want to pick up heavy things and put them down, like, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. But we don't think about like the future when like we can't walk, or like we can't go up and down the stairs, or we can't pick up our kids or our grandkids, or we can't shovel the driveway without being winded or having a heart attack. Like, you know, like, it's all that kind of stuff we don't think about at like our young age. Like, we take it for granted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Like, I know people like man, some people can't walk their dog because their dog's bigger, and it's like
they like pull them or something, right?
Man. Yeah. It's tough. It's super. It's like, it's almost sad in a way, right? But then it's extra cool and extra inspiring when you see, like you said, those people that are like, oh, I want to do it for like the long reasons, like the grandkids. And
we have these 2 members in Orange, and they come to the 9:30 class all the time.
The AMs or PMs?
AMs, yeah. Nice. And I will name drop them because they're amazing. But like,
Darlene
and Brian, and
I love it.
Man, they come.
Shout out Darlene and Brian.
Like smile on their face. They're there. They're working out, and they're killing it. And they're both 2 amazing grandparents, and like they are there all the time.
Oh,
and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, you're killing it. Like, this is sick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for them to do one of those classes, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And they're not like no intimidation, no nothing. And I'm sure at first, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is, man. There's man, dude, the wildest. Because I've been working out like since high school, like here and there, kind of grade 10, grade 11, like sports and stuff. So like it was never foreign to me, the gym, right? All the, like, you know, old school rugged equipment, the smells, the, like, you know, the weight.
The bright lights.
Yeah, man. And then sometimes the not so bright, and it's like, why is it either too bright or not bright enough? You know, there's always
right, it's kind of dark.
Yeah, there's no in between, like, a bit suspicious. But I ended up, I was like, you know, this is cool. I never had like a intimidation issue walking into the gym, especially like college, university. And then I started training. A buddy of mine I was going to South America with on a service trip was like, dude, you should come do jiu-jitsu with me. Like, let's come train and work. I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, me and my roommate. He's like, cool, message this guy. And then I was like, yeah, we'll see. And he's like, well, I'll tell him you're going to message him. He's expecting to hear from you. And I was like, shit, okay.
You're like, okay, I got to do it.
So I messaged this guy. Just intimidating looking dude. But I messaged him. I was like, hey, yeah, I'm interested in this. So-and-so recommended. He's like, hey, tomorrow at this time, this place. I was like, sick. Walk in. There's this, like, commercial building in downtown Ottawa off of Wellington. And I was like, it's like a 3-story office suite looking building. I was like, it's in here, right? And then it says, it's like B10. Or I don't even think it had a number. I think it was just, like, all of them had, like, different office suites and all these logos. And then it was just B... And then it was, like, written in, like, marker, the name of the gym. And I was like, this is awesome. Let's go. So I was like, well, it's got to be downstairs. I go down, the door just swings open and smacks. I was like, okay. Start walking down these very narrow staircase, and, like, there's, like, snow on them, even though it's indoors. Like, everybody's trucking their boots, right? Like, kind of looks like what that does.
Yeah.
And right on the stairs. And then I see it, the hallway is just kind of hallway, same look as that. Just snow boots from boots trekking snow in. And then at the end, I see, like, 50 pairs of shoes. And then, like, a door, and I just see, like, it's an old school, like, black painted wall of, like concrete brick wall, and then just, like, the gym logo spray painted. I was like, this is nuts. I go in, I hear, like, thap, like, these loud thud sounds. I walk in, I look to the left, and everybody kind of looks over and then looks back, going back to whatever they're doing. They don't care. And then it's, like, all these guys doing Muay Thai, and they're just, like, kneeing pads and kneeing each other. I'm like, the fuck? I look and I see, like, a bar that's, like, yay high, and then this, like, shaved head, like, this much of it right above it. And then, like, I look up, guy kind of pops head out. First thing I see is, like, I make eye contact with him. I see, like, this, like, cross tattooed on his neck. And, like, yeah. And then he's like, you the guy from Facebook, you Glenn? And I was like, yeah, it's me, man. And I was like, he's like, let me get you a gi. I was like, all right. And then I just went. He's like, follow me. And I was like, you mean I have to, like, go in here? And he's like, take your shoes off. I was like, yes, sir. And you're walking in, and everybody's looking like, what are you grabbing a gi for? You know? And then I walk in, and it's like the tiny, like, one, like, maybe from, like, you know, my, like, the end of the curtain straight across, and then back in behind me of a change room. And there's, like, I start changing. I'm like, oh, yeah, this, you know, maybe people will show up. Buddy Steph shows up, his 2 roommates who do it, and then 8 other people. So we're all just shoulder to shoulder changing just like this. And I'm like, okay, I now know what being intimidated feels like in the gym. And I'm like, man, there's it's a bit freaky. But if your why is, like, at the time too, I was like, okay, I needed, like, school was so stressful. And then also kind of looking and be like, okay, you know, I want to be able to defend myself. I'm not the biggest guy. I realized I was like, I can't get 250 pounds. Like, it's just genetic. Like, no, I was like, I like doing this type of stuff. But I was looking, I was like, you know, this might be, I was like, you know, this is it. We have to at least push past this initial fear. And so every time I hear stories like that, where I'm like, oh, they pushed past that initial fear and they got over the intimidation hurdle, and then they just pursued it. And then even better when you guys maintain it, and then just seeing that longevity and knowing, like, what it could be. And especially, like, that was your mom that fell too? Yeah. And then, to hear that happen, and then knowing, like, she was okay, but, like, imagine what could have happened had that not been her lifestyle, right? It's
for
like,
sure.
Probably, like, severely injured it, right? And then, like, maybe, like, man, I know I had a friend of mine that she got in a car crash. She, like, you know, mid-20s, early 20s, whatever, got in a car crash, and she, like, works out often, like, wrestles and stuff, lifts weights, and just beast. And she, like, the doctor's like, we don't need to do surgery. And they're like, what? In a car crash. She's like, no, we don't need to, just do some rehab exercise for, like, you know, 4 months.
Oh, really?
Physio, yeah, and you'll be good. Because the muscle surrounding her joints and bones was, like, developed enough.
So she didn't break anything.
No, man. It cushions awesome. It. Yeah, because the fat won't cushion it as much as, like, the muscle, right? Which is insane. So that's really cool to hear, too. And that she was okay. And then the women, or we say Brian and Darlene?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, I love that why. But, kind of moving forward, do you have any kind of advice or overall message, story, or anything you kind of want to touch on or make sure we mention, or things you want to mention before we kind of conclude?
Yeah, I guess, like, I think that, like, you know, like, business is not for everyone.
Right.
And it is a lot of work. And it's a lot of, like I have a lot of friends who are like, they like their 9 to 5. They like that they can shut off their brain.
Yeah.
I wish I could shut my brain off sometimes, but it doesn't. It's 24/7, right? So it is a lot of sacrificing, like depending on what you want to do. But I think like it's so rewarding, like so rewarding to be like, this is something I created. Like I made this, you know what I mean? Like I think that's
awesome.
super cool. And I think there's a lot of perks that come with it, with the trade-off, right? Like you get a lot of like benefit out of it too. But I think like, you know what I mean? Like the biggest thing that I always say this to everyone is like, there's so many resources at our fingertips here in Canada, even in Sudbury, like that are available to us. So, you know, if you are interested in starting a business, like reach out to the Regional Business Center, see if there's a room in the summer company. There's also another program for older people who want to get started called Starter Company. It's a $5,000 grant. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of opportunities within Sudbury. Like they even do like the downtown business. I don't know if they're doing it right now, but they have done in the past to do like win this space. So you can like pitch a panel. What? Yeah, pitch a panel of judges in town, and they'll pay for your rent for a year at a location that you pick downtown.
Whoa! So, if you like win the pitch,
yeah.
Whoa, dude, that's
but like,
cool.
Right? There's so much like opportunity available to you if you want to get started. And I think the other thing is too is like anyone who's in business will more than gladly sit down with you and share their story and share their success and what they did well and what they could improve on or what they learned from their failures, right? Because that's all you can do. So I think like, you know, like the biggest thing is like if you are excited and you want to get started, you just do it. Like, you know, as Nike says. But no, for sure. Like just get it started. Reach out to all those resources. Find a couple like mentors, like entrepreneurs in the community that, you know, are in your industry, right? Like I talked to Mark about this too. Like him and I are such good friends and we bounce all our ideas off each other.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful because he has a whole separate different like view on things than I do, and it works great. But like he is in the food business now with his food trucks, and he is mentored by Rob Gregorini. Well, genius mentor, because Rob is such an incredible like chef, business owner, guy in the food industry, right? And that's what Mark's in, so he's gonna go to that, right? So I think it's just it's great to find, you know, a mentor that's in the space that you want to go into, and then just, you know, use all those resources that are available at your fingertips.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right on, brother. Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. I know you had just mentioned too, like people find like mentors and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you taking like your time and
man, of course,
doing that and sharing that with me. Learned a lot, and sharing that with the audience as well, man. I really appreciate it. So yeah, where can people find you? Where can people learn from you? See what you're doing?
Instagram, Instagram, the Ben Mackenzie. That's my favorite social media app. So
I love it.
But yeah, connect with me on there. You know, I've had other entrepreneurs reach out to me and we've chatted about stuff. Or if anyone has any questions on like how to get started, I can connect them with the Regional Business Center, that kind of stuff. But yeah, you find me on there, and then you can also follow Bevo Beverages on Instagram. Baby. That's the next one. This one's gonna be big. I think it's gonna go big. So we'll see. But thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, right on. That's it. That's a wrap.
Awesome, love it.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much, man.